I'm honestly thrilled to see so many of you instantly come back once I drop my first NFL video, because over the summer, rather than disappearing for a few months, just to keep you in the loop a little bit, I did a show called I Hate Baseball, and trust me when I tell you, I truly do. But it turns out I'm not the only one, as I would have expected. Looks like the majority of you hate baseball as well, because as soon as I dropped that first NFL video, all right, now we are all back up and running. If you haven't checked out that video, I don't know how you made it to this video without checking out the first video. So check that out if you haven't. We still got a couple hours before kickoff here. You can go get some of those sniffs. And then we're on to this First Friday. That's what they're calling this game between the Packers and the Eagles. First Friday, which I believe they're borrowing from, if you've ever been down to St. Pete and Tampa, the first Friday of every month, it's just a big party. People are acting like jackals. The streets are shut down. It's kind of exactly like what the Eagles and Packers players won't be doing down there in Brazil, because according to Darius Slay, they're just locked down in the hotels, not allowed to go anywhere. Doesn't sound like much. Is it Mardi Gras? Carnival?
Shama.
I think it's Carnival. Anyway, in this Brazil game, we got the Eagles playing the Packers, and I touched on my thoughts about the Eagles yesterday when I said for that futures bet, I love the Chiefs -1 wins against the Philadelphia Eagles, because the Packers and the Eagles, they ended the year on opposite sides of that mall escalator. You ever see those videos, like those prank videos where somebody has kind of a mediocre girlfriend and there's a hot girl just throwing that guy into the dirt by waving at him, maybe touching his hand as they pass on the escalator? Well, that's kind of what's happening here in a way. That mall escalator, someone going to heaven, someone going to hell. Imagine it worked like that. Imagine it's just, that's very kind of Beetlejuice-esque. You're going to watch the new one. Anyway, the Eagles, they started the year undefeated. After going to the Super Bowl, it's like, oh, we're picking up right where we left off. And they cratered, which I talked about yesterday. Then on the opposite side, you had the Packers, who looked dismal, and Jordan Love did not look like the answer in the beginning of the year. And then on Thanksgiving, they had that fantastic game against the Detroit Lions, beat them in their own building, and then that propelled the rest of their year, destroyed the Cowboys, and honestly, they had the 49ers beat in San Francisco. So no shame, first playoff game, won a round. So you have one team who ended on a pretty high note and another team who ended on the lowest of low notes. So just naturally, I think it'd be fraudulent of me to say, oh yeah, well, Eagles -2.5. The problem with this line, if you remember from last year preview, I hate 2.5s if you like the underdog. Where's the value? +3.5, love it. +2.5, hate it. So, as you should always do, raw dogs are going to have to be kicked down to the bottom of the list today, because I typically told you in the past, and this is good advice, not every primetime game is going to offer great opportunities where you're immediately excited for things. Like yesterday, those are picks that I would take on a Sunday with a full slate. That's how you should measure your picks, by the way. If it's a primetime game, be honest with yourself. I know you look in the mirror, you lie to yourself left and right, but be honest with yourself and say, if I saw the full slate of games on Sunday, would I be taking this Dallas Goddard over that I'm about to take tonight? And if the answer is no, just at least tread lightly. This game, in comparison to the opening night for me, I don't like as much. So I had to go sniff around the edges, and I did find some things that I like, but in classic fashion, watch everything go my way for this game that I'm probably less confident about than the opening night, where I feel pretty great about my picks for that one. So where I'm going to start in this game is actually on the Packers side, where there's good news and there's bad news. What do you want first? Now, let's start you with good news. I got to just feed the beast a little. You see that gargoyle over there? I only got that as like gargoyle prevention. I know that's a lot of people. They only want to hear good news. They're screaming at the screen immediately. Here's the good news. Every single receiver on the Green Bay Packers have unbelievably reasonable receiving totals. That's the good news. The bad news, they have 4 capable receivers and a capable tight end, maybe 2 capable tight ends. So we have great totals, easily achievable totals, but they have many great wide receivers, or at least many reliable wide receivers, young, up-and-coming wide receivers from number 1 to number 4. So if that's going to be the case, where am I going to go? If you're telling me that Jordan Love is projected at like 240-something passing yards, and then all these wide receivers are at like 38.5 receiving totals, something doesn't add up. How you getting to 250 with these guys only at their... If all of them hit their overs, you still need another like 140 yards. So where are they coming from? I'm going to go with the guy who I do know will see the most snaps throughout the course of the game, because that's the one thing we do know about the Packers, and that is Romeo Doubs. He will lead them in snaps. If you're going to the pizzeria and, you know, you have that bookie.
All right, Frank, take it easy. Tell Diana I says hello. What can I do for you, buddy?
That's where you do. You're still in a town. You have to go into the pizzeria and ask this guy to take your bets. He only takes money lines, and he takes just requests. You can just say something to him, and he'll be like, all right, yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, why? What's the matter? My pizza's no good?
Well, go in there and say, oh, man, do you see these receiving totals for the Pack? I bet you I know which one plays the most. That's going to be Romeo Doubs. He will lead them in snaps. So if you tell me he's going to be on the field the most, and Jordan Love has a passing yards total that should clear all these wide receiver totals, then I'm going to take his over. I'm going over 38.5 receiving yards for Romeo Doubs against a defense who, how is their secondary? The worst secondary you've ever seen in your life. I'm going to go with the Doubs over 38.5. And then I'm looking at another receiver, a receiver who typically would worry me. If this was week 6, I'd be terrified. But this is a guy who I believe has only missed one practice through all of training camp. A guy who, when healthy, you know, he's thought to kind of be the star wide receiver of the bunch. But there's a crafty way I'm going to take his receiving total. And this is Christian Watson over rushing and receiving, over his rushing and receiving total. Well, why are you going to do that? Because Josh Jacobs, who I'm looking for his rushing attempts, I don't know where they are. That's something that I want to look at and potentially bet if it's even half reasonable, because something you should know about this game, Josh Jacobs is going to be their unquestioned bell cow back, first, second, third down, because A.J. Dillon, he's out for the year. Marshawn Lloyd just started practicing again. He's going to be inactive. So they're going to be using a fourth-string running back as the backup. This is going to be full Josh Jacobs. And why do I bring that up in regards to Christian Watson? We've seen Christian Watson bang out some. If we can get the same yardage total, essentially, between rushing and receiving, as opposed to receiving by itself, I think that's a sneaky way to get good value on Christian Watson's total. So give me the over rushing and receiving. One end around for 5 yards means that's 5 chopped off the receiving total. And that's what I'm about. I'm about snaky, sneaky ways that probably nobody has mentioned.
You got it, buddy.
If you do find those Josh Jacobs rushing attempts, they're just refusing to list them. I think they're just scared because they don't know what to list it at. I mean, this is the modern NFL. Nobody runs out. Are we going to list it at 18.5? Because I swear to you, I even think 16.5 is a good value at this point. So that's something that I'm looking for. And outside of that, I did see that the Devontae Smith, which I don't have a feeling either way, his over 4.5 receptions is a plus EV bet. I saw it was like minus 118, minus 120 on FanDuel. I don't know if that's still the case, but he's at like minus 140 on all those other sites. And if you're getting 20 points of value, could just be worth it on value alone. No, that's not how I do things. I don't care if it's a good value. If I don't like it, I'm not taking it. Okay, fine. So then how about we go to a place that, believe it or not, this is a game where the Pirates can play.
Ye be sniffing a parlay.
I'm not just saying that. When you look at those receiving totals for the Green Bay Packers, and you look at Jordan Love's passing yard total, what does that mean? There's clearly opportunities for massive alt overs. Last year, we always targeted guys. Sometimes it was Devontae Smith. When his totals got in like the high 40s, we would take him for 75 plus. Look at these Packers. Look at Doubs. Look at Watts. Make 2 same-game parlays, one with each. If one falls, who cares? The odds are going to be so good that if one hits, it will cancel out the both of them and more. So give me the Packers at plus 3.5. I knew I'd find a way to get them. And then Romeo Doubs for 75 yards. Give me the Green Bay Packers to win the game outright should we do the 100+ rushing and receiving? So 100+ rushing and receiving, if they'll even let us, the alt rushing and receiving total with a Green Bay Packers money line. And that's the way you can have fun on this First Friday, whether you're going out and St. Pete and spending money that way or throwing a couple shekels on this game in Brazil. That is what I have for you here for this game. As always, do me the personal favor. You got to do it. I mean, I'm not just here doing a song and a dance and then you guys do nothing. Like this video, comment what you think about the Josh Jacobs rushing attempts. If there's anything you think is a lock. I had a lot of people yesterday just say, oh, yeah, Ravens money line. Yeah, because that's a great pick. The Ravens money line, first game, missing 3 out of 5 offensive linemen. Derrick Henry has no chemistry in that offense, going against the Super Bowl champs who beat them every time they play them other than one. Yeah, great pick with the Ravens money line, unless the Ravens win, and then I'm going to feel like a real asshole about this part of the video. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, click the notifications, because there's no rhyme or reason when I release these videos. Sometimes they're in the day, sometimes they're during night, so it would behoove you to click the notifications. If you want to know what's even better than that, you know what it is. I know you're coming back next month for hockey. Come join the Patreon where I can add anything else that maybe I come across. Maybe when I find those Josh Jacobs rushing attempts, I add to the tickets and communicate in the chat rooms throughout the course of the evening and add to anything. I add stuff. And also all the sniffers are talking about their wild 8-game touchdown parlays in there. So hopefully I see you there. If not, I will see you tomorrow for a show called A Dave and a Dan. Yeah, where we talk about some NFL games. A Dave and a Dan. So come check that out tomorrow. And then over the weekend, I will have my full assortment of Sunday NFL sniffs. I will see you guys then. Take it easy and enjoy opening night and First Friday. Later.